Hey, family, it's time to get in the Word again. I thank you guys for being with us last week, and James was here. Say hello, James.
Hey, how's it going?
James is here and he's so helpful. But we got through last week, and I just wanted to finish out what we were doing with Thanksgiving. We got through it really quick. And so, just some things that I said that God gave me to share with you. I'm praying that it was helpful for you to be able to navigate through sometimes some very lonely, painful, hard times, when it comes to holidays. Holidays can present a vast amount of emotions. And so we just want to stabilize and balance ourselves during this time. And so we're going to be doing part two today and centered around Christmas, when joy and hope feels far away. That's what happens sometimes. Christmas is said to be the happiest time of the year, but it's not that way for everybody.
Hmm.
It's not the happiest time of the year, but it is one of my happy times. I really love Christmas, and especially I love Christmas Eve.
Hmm.
And it's a wonderful thing. But the theme will be answering questions that people wrestle with as Christmas arrives and the new year approaches. So it's almost like December 25th, and then the next week is New Year's.
Hmm.
And so we want to talk about that. And because just coming out of Christmas, you're faced with the new year, and that's important for us to do. So, James, what's the first question that we have?
Yeah, so the first question going right into this is how do I celebrate Christmas when my heart feels heavy?
Yeah, that's a good one. I do see a lot of heaviness of heart. I think sometimes the heaviness of heart is for many reasons.
Hmm.
Why we get heavy. Sometimes it's misplaced understanding of what Christmas really is, and so we get all in anxiety about buying gifts for people and all these things that we do, and it just makes it heavy. But how do I celebrate Christmas? I just think knowing what Christmas is. So here's the thing: Christmas is God's reminder that light entered darkness. What does he mean by that? When he sent Jesus, the world was dark and had no real illumination or light,
Hmm.
no knowledge of anything. When he sent Jesus, he sent light into darkness. And so when we start to think of Christmas on that level, we start to understand that God is bringing illumination through Jesus Christ. And, he was born in Bethlehem, and as a baby, he grew up, and now we have light now. We didn't have that before. And not after darkness is gone, but the light has come while we're still present in the darkness. And that's the thing. Jesus came into a broken world. It was so broken, not a perfect one, but a broken one. So he could meet you. Listen at this now, in your own feelings of heaviness. And I like that God didn't wait. He sent Jesus to be able to be the manifestation to meet me and accompany me when I'm going through things, accompany you while you're going through things. Sometimes you're so heavy, and here comes Jesus, the light. He brings that hope. He brings that light to help us get out of those feelings of heaviness. And it's important to understand that the reason for that hope is Jesus Christ. Listen, our heaviness is the very reason Jesus came to lift our souls. And your soul needs to be lifted, and set us free from oppression and anxiety. So he came to lift our souls and to set us free from oppression and anxiety. I don't know if you're feeling any anxiety now, but I know you have before I have. And Jesus' sole purpose, he came to set us free from that anxiety. God doesn't want you in anxiety. In
Hmm.
fact, he says not to have any worry or have no thought for things that are out of your control.
Hmm.
And so we're to bring everything to him in prayer so that we're not living in anxiety. And that's so important for us to catch hold today, is that Christmas can present a lot of anxiety because we are misplacing what really Christmas means.
Hmm.
And so Christmas means that a child was born to us, and God gave us the gift. And so we have the gift of giving. So when you're sitting around the Christmas time and you're so stressed out about what you're going to give somebody, always start with what God has given.
Hmm.
He gave us his son. Jesus, one of his name is meant, it means Emmanuel. It means God is with us. So the gift that God has given us is that he's with us.
Hmm.
And so when we get into a family setting, we need to think about being with each other. not so much what we're giving each other, but being with each other. Now, if you have a gift to give, that's nice and it's fine. And it's significant to do that because God so loved that he gave. So sometimes at Christmas, we can probably calm down a lot with anxiety and oppression because we're so bottled up and tightened on what am I going to get this person?
Mhm.
And God doesn't want you feeling that way. The best thing you could give a person is your time, your love, your appreciation for them, spending intimacy with them,
Mhm.
especially around Christmas. Like I said, I love Christmas Eve so much because Christmas Day comes and so we're up. Okay, it's almost like it's over. But if you start celebrating on Christmas Eve, that's when we get all the cookies and the little
Mhm.
sweets, and then we open some gifts and we play games and things of like that nature. So it's important for us to keep it focused. But that's the thing that how do I celebrate Christmas when it feels so heavy? We need to lighten our hearts. I'm not expecting anything from anybody in my family for Christmas except their love, really.
Mhm.
And if you're expecting more than that, then you're putting pressure on people that doesn't need to be put on people.
Mhm.
And I think for me, Christmas is more for kids than
Yeah.
it is the adults, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And if you got a lot of grown people in your family, man, you need to start giving to the kids. You tell those grown folks,
Mhm.
you guys are on your own. This is for the grandkids. This is
Yeah.
for the babies and things
Yeah.
of that nature. Because we've all grown up like that. And I'm not saying don't love your wife or your husband or your aunts and uncles, but it should be focused on the children.
Yeah.
Give them an experience that they never had.
Mhm.
And that was some of the most wonderful times in my life when I was a kid is to be around Christmas time, and being around the family, and so your heart won't be so heavy
Mhm.
if you take it off of the adults sometimes who are not so grateful or thankful. But you give to kids, their little eyes light up,
Mhm.
they're happy, they receive everything you do for them, they love everything you're doing during this time. I think that will make Christmas not so heavy so we can really celebrate it because we're refocusing to the children and
Mhm.
what God has done and their future. That's
Yeah.
a wonderful thing.
Yeah. No, that's very important. That's something that Maria and I remind ourselves a lot. And I know I talk a lot about my family, but that's where I'm able to kind of touch from, right?
Yeah.
But you see it a lot with my generation, millennials, and even lower and everything, where the Disney adults and all
Yeah.
that. We,
Yeah.
we grew up in that culture.
Yeah.
We grew up with that,
Yeah.
where it was a lot of that, and I fear sometimes that it almost stops with our generation because it became something that was like that's our nostalgia, that's our
That's
childhood,
true.
that's our and now we're having children, and Maria and I, we ground ourselves
Yeah.
all the time. I tell her, I was like, look, we're going to Disneyland, we're going to wherever we're going, it's for our kids.
Yes.
If we're going by ourselves,
Yeah.
it's a little different thing. It's
Yeah.
a date, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
But all these experiences, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
She went and took the kids to see Santa
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
and she had all these anxieties, trying to get them ready, trying
Yeah.
to get them on time. Santa's coming into town, but there's a certain amount of stops, so she's getting worried that she's going to be late. And
Yeah.
all these things, and
Yeah.
I said, well, you'll make it on time because the time that you already set for yourself is early, so we're gonna be fine.
you're
Even if
good.
you're late, you're on time.
Yeah. Yeah. Never late.
But it's for the kids too. So if you're
Yeah.
rushing and trying to get them there, now they're freaking out oh, I'm kind of scared now, right?
Yeah,
I'm
that's true.
feeling that anxiety, and then they feel that when they go and meet Santa, right? But it's experiences like that. We set up our Christmas tree.
Yeah.
We set up the stockings, and the next 3 days, Jade was telling us that she thought Santa didn't love her because
Oh,
she
man.
thought that it was Christmas the very next day once we set up
Oh.
decorations. So we spent the time.
Yeah.
And we drew up. We didn't go out and buy an advent calendar.
Yeah.
You could buy an advent calendar. It's
Yeah.
fine. That's not the point.
Yeah.
But we made one with her.
Yeah.
And so now, and Maria found these bingo dots that we had somehow in the arts and crafts area that we
Yeah.
had. And so now every day she wakes up and she runs over to grab her bingo dot,
Oh, wow.
and she stamps off the date.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then now she has touch points on all those things.
Yeah.
But now we're building this experience with her.
I love it.
Now it's all these different little things. So
Yeah.
and whatever that marks for people, right? Like
Yeah.
we just chose not to do a chocolate advent calendar
Yeah.
this year, but it's whatever it is. There's so many
Yeah.
there's so many things, but again, it's not just the presents, it's being
Yeah.
present
It is
with them.
being present.
Yeah,
That's
big.
good. Thanks for sharing that because a lot of people get so uptight around Christmas, especially Christians too.
Mhm.
We're so dogmatic, so legalistic, and I can't believe you guys believe in Santa Claus, or It's not even about all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about imagination. It's about just having a good time. And they just swear that if you uh, go and see Santa, or if you do presents, or even put up a Christmas tree,
Mm-hmm.
that you're doing something pagan. Well, I got news for you. Everything is pagan.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that's not pagan. You know, it's not the fact that anything is pagan. It's about understanding what God is, who God is to us, you know, what matters in the moments, how we leave our children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have imaginations, and God allows us to use our imaginations. So we're able to assign value to what we do and what we celebrate. And, you know, a lot of people, well, Jesus wasn't born on the 25th, you know, and so, well, we do know that, you know, but again, we're assigning value to his coming and who he is,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the historical date of when he was born. And a lot of times those things are clouding people, you know, and it causes a lot of problems, and they take the fun out of it. It's interesting. Adults grow up having Christmas, then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden they're enlightened. Now we can't have Christmas because it's pagan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, everything is pagan. A grocery store is pagan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go to a restaurant, you know, people have idols in restaurants when you
Yeah.
eat. I mean, everywhere you go, there's something that has to do with darkness, but we bring the light. The Bible
Mm-hmm.
says we're the light of the world. And I think we need to light it up for our children
Mm-hmm.
and give them as much fun time as they possibly can. So it's not
Yeah.
about believing in Santa Claus. It's about believing in love. It's about believing in giving.
Mm-hmm.
It's about believing in family togetherness.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it's all about. And I love lights.
Yeah.
I love presents. I love the trees. I love the festiveness. I like to go around the neighborhood and look at the lights in the community. I love all that stuff. And I'm sure God's not going to be mad at me because I went and saw a gingerbread house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know, some people get mad, but forgive me if you get upset. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
The bottom line is we need to lighten up a little bit. And it's, you know, we make that one day such a misery for so many people and yourselves, and just understand what it really is. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's important, really important.
Yeah, most definitely. That was a part actually, and something that I made a note of mentally when you were talking about in this first
Mhm.
question too. I There's a couple of Christmas movies that I enjoy very much. It's the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And A Christmas Story.
Oh yeah, I like those too.
And A Christmas Story, I like. Some people don't because it doesn't have like a big theme or, you know,
Yeah.
big overcoming story, right? But
Right.
it's just the story of a kid's Christmas and his parents making it as magical as possible for him. That was all it was. That's all it is. And you know, so something I like to listen to and reflect on. And then they made a sequel just a couple years ago, and it was him. That was actually his obituary for his dad. Was about the best Christmas that his dad gave him.
Wow.
And so it's super cool. I'm
Yeah.
teared up because I'm just like,
No,
I
that's
love
good.
stories like that.
That's
But
good.
Charlie Brown Christmas, going back into that, it's fun because again, it's the childlike, you know, every aspect of it they talk about. Lucy
Yeah.
with her money, and,
Yeah.
you know, trying to, oh, the nickel, the sweet sounds of nickels.
Yeah.
And, you know, now I can buy all the things. And
Yeah.
the one part as a kid I never understood, and it for years and years until, you know, recently actually, was Charlie Brown. He gets fed up, you know, he's
Yeah.
trying to be the director of the Christmas play, and he gets totally fed up, and he goes, does anyone know what the true meaning of Christmas is?
Right.
And Linus goes up and he says, I can tell you that, Charlie Brown. He goes out and he gets the spotlight on him, and then he recites Luke 2:8-14. And there we're in the same country field, you know, in the same country shepherds, abiding in their fields, keep watch over their flock, and just the whole story of that.
Yeah.
And that was it. As a kid, I went, okay, that was, huh? What do you mean? And that was that. It was just that. And
just like that.
there you go, Charlie Brown. There's the meaning of Christmas right there.
Wow.
And it's exactly what you said.
It's exactly it.
You know, it's
Yeah.
that gift that God gave to us, right?
Yeah.
On that day.
Yeah, I love it. I do love it, you know, and God gives us many graces. And one of the graces is he allows us to have an imagination.
Mhm.
And that's what we do when it comes to holidays. We get festive, we have imaginations, we enjoy ourselves, we celebrate, we decorate, we eat. That's what we do,
Mhm.
you know, and it's fun. I just think we just need to lighten up sometimes.
Yeah, no, we take that moment to be close with the family. And
Exactly.
when you're close with the family, their hearts are more open,
Yes.
their ears are more open, their eyes
Yes.
are more open, right?
Yes.
As you say.
Yes.
And there's more of an openness to everyone's hearts to hearing the word of God that you're
Yes.
hearing,
Yes.
right? You know, and when, like you said, when we get dogmatic with it, you know, it closes a lot of people up.
It does.
Yeah.
It hurts people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just think that, you know, when even Disneyland, things like that, I'm a Disney adult. I love Disneyland, you know, but I know that there are a lot of stuff people say about this and say about that, but as I said earlier, there's idolatry in anything and everything. It's just it's not just Disneyland, it's not Christmas, it's not even Halloween. People get all crazy about Halloween too, and there's a lot to be said about it, but not at this point. We'll talk about it another time. But I think if we just stay focused on the nucleus of who we are, whose we are, the family and the children. I did a lot of stuff as a kid that didn't mess me up as an adult. I messed myself up as an adult by doing things not being a kid. You know what I'm saying? Because Jesus even said, you can't even enter into the kingdom unless you're childlike. You be like children. And I just don't think we should be so heavy on children about everything, that it just takes the joy out of their life. And so we teach children to be little killjoys when they grow up, become adults who are angry and frustrated and mad about everything. So I just want to get us back to a place of the joy. Christmas is about joy, love, joy, and peace. So thank you for sharing that.
100%. Yeah, I know. I could talk Christmas all day. I'm the same way. That's one of my favorite holidays. And it's because of being around the family.
It's family. Made a difference.
Yeah.
I cry every time Drummer Boy comes on.
Yeah.
I love Rumpa Pum Pum.
Oh yeah.
I love Drummer Boy.
That's my mom's favorite Christmas song all the time.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And so it's things that I remember that is a part of who I am as a person. So that's great, man. Thank you, man. That made me feel good too.
Yeah.
Felt like we were right there, James.
No worries. And then with Maria's family, on Christmas Eve, we celebrate and we'll stay up until midnight.
That's beautiful.
We share the story of Jesus and we actually do a little, I don't want to call it a ceremony, but I guess it would be considered a ceremony where we have we swaddle baby Jesus to sleep in the manger. Yeah. And that's how we end our night. But we're spending time as a family and then we go around saying things that we're thankful for. And it's nothing against my family, but we didn't have traditions or things like that.
Okay.
And stories like that. So we didn't do that a lot growing up. But we did have the 6:30 in the morning, us running into the parents' room. Santa showed up. We had that. But it wasn't until I met Maria and her family, and I was included in that tradition that it started to click in my head that there's a lot more to it than.
See, and you're an adult now. Yeah. All the way to you're an adult now, and now you're developing traditions of your own with your own family and your kids. That's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
Exactly, it's fun. I could talk on and on and
on.
No,
that's good, man. That's good.
I know we have more questions here, and we went on a whole tangent.
That's okay.
Which question speaks out to you the most right here? I'll flip it onto you right now.
Let's go to question 3.
Okay. Question 3: How can I trust God with a new year when this year may have disappointed me?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think learning how to trust God is an experience that is accumulative. Nobody can just say, trust God, and you trust him. It's gaining an experience with God, and then you develop a trust relationship with him. And God does the same thing with us. He entrusts us with things as we gain experiences with him of obedience and doing the things right. So one of the things that I thought about when that question came about, God is not limited by your past year, the years just passed. He's not limited to doing anything. Disappointment does not disqualify you. We get disappointed because maybe things didn't happen the way we were supposed to, but it doesn't disqualify you because you're disappointed, or it doesn't disqualify God's love for you. He still loves you. And when you step into a new year, it's because, listen, all the things you've been through last year, you bring lessons that you've learned. I learned so much in 2025, even 2024. I learned so much. We also bring a lot more strength because, the disappointments and things that we had to calibrate and navigate ourselves back to center, so lessons, strength. God doesn't get disappointed or limit me to my past or things I've done wrong, because in the things that I've lived, I've brought now to the table this year resilience. I've got resilience this year more than I had last year. I remember when I first started real estate, I was in the dark. I didn't know what to do. It was tough enough to pass the test. And then when I got out there in the real world of real estate, I mean, looking at me then and look at me now, I have way more resilience, way more strength. I've learned so many lessons. I have dialogue now. I can even actually talk to somebody about a house.
Mhm.
Whereas if I didn't know what I was doing, and you bring with you God who promises to redeem lost time. So in all of that, so I'm not being disqualified because of last year was so difficult. How can I trust God with a new year when this year disappointed me? That's just a mindset shift. When you look at what you bring to the table, the lessons, the strength, the resilience, the fact that God is with you and he's going to redeem what you even thought was lost time.
Mhm.
He's going to redeem that. God's a redeemer. And so he makes sense of those things, And the reason for the hope is renew your mind with this. This is what I want you to think about out of all of that for that question. Let me read the question again. How can I trust God with a new year when this year disappointed me, right? Here it is. God can do more in 1 year. Listen to this. He can do more in 1 year of favor than 10 years of frustration. So in 1 year of God's favor in our lives can erase 10 years of frustration.
Mhm.
So we need to focus on the favor. We need to focus on where we are right now with God. That's what's most important, and when it comes to the holidays, to make sure that we center ourselves and not set ourselves in disappointment. You have the right to choose what you think.
Mhm.
And if you want to think about your disappointments, they're going to become alive again.
Mhm.
It's like opening a scab off of an arm. I know it's gross, but you tear a scab off the arm and you have to get healed again. So you got to leave it alone, and sometimes last year, you got to leave it back there. Last year is last year. You maybe couldn't trust God last year because you weren't in the word enough.
Mhm.
Maybe you weren't in the word enough. Maybe you doubted more last year than you doubted any other time. When we get back to this year, what I would be saying, if it were me, is that God, whatever happened to me last year, I'm going to bring the lessons, the strength, the resilience, and the fact that you're going to make everything redeemable for me. That's how I'm going to enter into 26.
Mhm.
So that way, I'm not looking at what happened to me. I'm looking at what's in front of me and what's going to be for me. So that's really important for us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know last week we alluded to that a little bit too,
Mm-hmm.
of just, we make our own time.
Yeah.
God has his timing, right? And it's
Yeah.
not anything that we have. We
No.
created our own timing based on math and calendars and everything else that we've done as humans, right? But it's something that even us as business owners, entrepreneurs, we do, right? We get disappointed because we didn't meet our goals. We get disappointed, whatever it is. And I constantly have to remind myself,
Yeah.
I made that deadline.
That's true.
I made that up for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
don't think about that.
Yeah, it's a perspective I try to give myself
Yeah.
a lot. I add all this pressure, and by the end of the week, now it's bleeding into my family time and all this, and I
Yeah,
get frustrated, I'm freaking out, and that's going into them. And sometimes you just have to sit back and be like, well, it could get done on Monday.
That's true.
I made it up myself.
Yeah,
I made it up.
You made it up. You made it up. Wow.
And I hope I'm not alone in that. Right?
No, you're not.
But it's something that we have to think about, right? Like
Yeah.
And give ourselves the time to do it.
That's a good perception, James. And I know for those of you who are sitting out there now, and I know this is a different type of service, but sometimes we just need to sit down and have a conversation. And we need to make sense of things that we do every day. And like James just said, the stress and all the things that we put on ourselves when we made it up. You set the calendar date. You set the time. Sometimes I believe we just need to pause. We need to pray. And if what we decided to do doesn't seem to work out, it's okay. It's okay. You made it up. It's all an illusion anyways.
Yeah.
Money is an illusion.
Yeah.
We don't really have money. We got a little piece of paper that says you have money, but you go to the bank at a certain time, you can't even draw your money out. So I'm just saying that we create things on ourselves that we shouldn't do, and it's very stressful. So that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
And pray for anybody out there. What James just said is something we need to take a look at. You're making your calendar, you're making the dates and the times. You even set your own doctor's appointment. Oh my God, I missed my doctor's appointment. Well, you set it up, So the bottom line, even if you do miss it, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then that goes right into the next question here.
Yeah.
How do I not feel overwhelmed going into the new year?
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah. How do I not feel overwhelmed going into the new year? Kind of what we've been saying though, because we're going into the new year and people do this and they say, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
And they said all these things they're going to do. Yeah, I'm going to get down. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to speak a new language. All this stuff we do, which is good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, well, right now you're overwhelming yourself. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. So let me just say it like this. Let's break it down. Listen carefully at this. I'm going to share these things with you. You are not responsible for the whole year, only today. You're not responsible for the whole year. You're only responsible for today. So when January 1st gets here, I don't make a New Year resolution. I have a New Year realization. And the realization is what I've learned in the past. So I'm not putting pressure on myself to do more. I'm putting more emphasis on what I've learned and do that. And so I'm not overwhelmed because now I'm going to have a better year than I had last year, because last year I learned it. This year I get to exercise it and practice it. So that's going to make my year a lot better. So that's important. Breaking that down that way, we can understand. Now, you're not responsible for the whole year, only today. You are not called to carry the future. Listen to this. Only to walk with the one who already has it in his control. That's what you're called to do. So I'm not going to be overwhelmed if I remember that. And the other thing is, God does not expect perfection or performance, only surrender and trust. And the hope for that is New Year's don't bring healing. It doesn't. It does not bring healing. Just because I passed from one year, this year, whatever was wrong with me then could probably still be wrong with me in the new year. So just because the calendar flips over, it doesn't cause you to be healed of everything. You don't get to wipe it slate clean. You still have some level of responsibility in that. And so once you remember that, then you know. So the new year doesn't bring healing, but God does. Just focus on God being the healer. But New Year's gives you a fresh doorway, listen to this, to walk into his healing and his restoration for you. So that's what it does. I mean, I have a new mind now. 2026 is here. God, I'm standing at the door for new healing, renewal, reconciliation, and all of that. I'm not going to be thinking about what happened last year. I'm looking at the freshness of a new year. And that's why I have a realization rather than a resolution. It's really important for us to know that. I won't be overwhelmed. You won't be overwhelmed if we take that posture when it comes to it. You know, we overwhelm ourselves. I won't even say the devil overwhelms you. You overwhelm yourself. I overwhelm myself. And I've been somewhat of an overthinker all my life. And overthinking will overwhelm you. And so let the new year roll out. Let the first day of the new year just be a grace to you. That I'm thankful, Lord, I made it to a new year. Happy New Year. That's what we're talking about. So with that, James, I think, we've kind of talked and we had a good conversation today and I loved it. And I like the fact that just, we're free to do that, because this is our time to be able to share the word with each other and with those who are going to be listening, thanking those who have been with us and thanking those who will join us the following week, because people don't always get up at 8:00 on the time we do this, but all during the week, we pick up more listeners and pick up more support from that. So Christmas is right around the corner. And after all the things we've just talked about, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these things, I want you guys to remember this. Listen to this message a couple times. And if I could say anything, don't overwhelm yourself that you miss the opportunity of the moment with your family, mainly your children. If you don't have children, somebody in your family does. Go and get your nieces and your nephew, or go visit a place, an orphanage, or anything that has children. That's a great idea. And go visit them and spend time with children. Because I believe more than anything else, if Christmas is for anybody, it's for children. And that's what Jesus was here for. He said, suffer the little children to come unto me. He loved children. He didn't want people pushing children back. That was a priority for him. So if we make everything about our kids, we're going to have a much better Merry Christmas. And yeah, I said it, Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, because it's all about Jesus Christ. So thank you guys. Merry Christmas to you. It's fast approaching. Just wanted to shout out to you guys again. Thank you for everything that you've done, that you're doing. Make it easier on yourself. Just relax, take a pause and breathe. Father, I thank you for the message. I thank you for James here today in our conversation. I thank you for the listeners and those who have stood with us this whole year. And I ask, Lord, that you would bless and continue to bless everyone and keeping us in the right mindset and focusing on the things that are most important, starting with our families and our children, because they deserve everything, Lord, that we have in our lives to be given to them. It's their opportunity now to grow and to be blessed as we were with children. So we thank you, Father, for that. And we say Merry Christmas to everyone. And thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.